Ackah from Ask Canada Immigration Lawyer podcast, Evelyn Ackah, as well as our LinkedIn Live today is July 18th, 2023, and I'm excited to talk about common mistakes made in immigration applications. What I'm finding is when people call us, some of the struggles they have are relating to information that they put on the forms and some of the mistakes that they've made. So let's go through the list and hopefully we'll be able to reduce your chances of having a mistake or a problem. So the first common mistake is failure to sign the application forms or failure to sign the application forms in the right place. Very, very, very common, especially if you are doing a spousal sponsorship and there's so much confusion around who's the applicant, who's the sponsor, and sometimes they sign the wrong information and it creates a whole big mess. So that's one of the things that I definitely think about. The other thing, the most common mistake is paying the fee incorrectly or paying the wrong fee. So not understanding exactly what the fee is supposed to be, and then you make a payment and it's not right. That means that the application will likely come back refused because you did not pay correctly. Occasionally, immigration will send you a note and say, please supplement the fee or pay the right fee or correct this mistake. But more and more these days, we're seeing that immigration is not being as helpful when it comes to immigration mistakes that are made, and they're just sending applications back. And then you would have lost 4 to 6 months sometimes before they actually get it back to you to start all over again. The biggest one that we see in our office is relating to the correct size passport photo. It is, I don't know what it is. It's so common. People go to all the local pharmacies and drugstores and photo studios to get their passport pictures done or their citizenship or PR pictures, and they have different sizes and requirements. And every place you go will say, yes, I know what I'm doing, only to find out that they've done it wrong. And that is a real, real waste of time for many of our clients. They end up having their packages returned or requests for new photos, and that can add a couple months to an application. So it's definitely something to consider. One thing too is when you look at IRCC on the website and you start thinking about what documents to include, a lot of times they'll have the list of documents on the forms, but you only include exactly what's there. We recommend sometimes including more information rather than less. More is better than less. And this is because that checklist is the bare minimum of what you need to prove and show. So if you know you have other documents, more information, I recommend highly that you put in more information. Don't stick just to that checklist because, again, if you just don't meet the minimum criteria and they see that something you could have included wasn't there, they could also refuse your application. One of the biggest challenges is that depending on which country you're from, there may be different forms required, which is often the case. They're called supplemental forms. And often every country has its own form requirements that's separate to the generic forms that everybody must complete, for instance, for spousal sponsorship or permanent resident. So you must always go back as well to where's the country the person's coming from and do they have individual or special forms. And if they do, then you want to make sure that you include them in your application so that it's full and complete. Another common mistake that many people make when they do this on their own is that they provide misinformation or they don't explain missing information or they misrepresent, which is a huge no-no. The risk in lying or misrepresenting to immigration is very high. They will find out the truth. You never, ever, ever want to misrepresent. You always want to ensure that you are telling the full truth and you provide information so that you answer any questions that immigration may have. One of the most common ones we get is when people don't tell the truth if they've been refused a visa. This is actually sometimes an involuntary mistake because the way the question's worded on most of the government forms is say, have you ever been refused a visa, blah, 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 from Canada? And then it'll say, or any other country. And most people forget that, or any other country. And then if they had a US visa refused or a UK visa back in the day, they'd say no, and then they could be refused their application because it looks like they lied. So make sure you're reading the question properly and answering it correctly and accurately. Another problem, common mistake with applications, is that your writing is illegible, similar to my awful lawyer writing. I think I should become a doctor, but illegible handwriting on the forms if you're doing them by hand. They need to be able to read them. If you're not using a forms program to help you type everything in, you must be able to read what you are providing, or they will again refuse it and or send it back. Another area where people, I think, make common mistakes is not to include a cover letter in their package. It may not be a part of, again, the checklist of documents, but it's really important that you set the stage. Please find enclosed my application for blah, blah, blah. This is the document list that's here, that's attached. This is what we're trying to achieve. Here's everything we've done, and that's all included. Providing some context and telling your story by way of a cover letter is very, very helpful when you're submitting an application. Even, of course, when it's online, you can upload it into any of the fields available when you do the upload to the government. Another mistake is waiting for the criminal record checks to file the application. Sometimes criminal record checks will take forever. And so we always recommend showing evidence that you've applied for it, but not waiting to submit the application. Provide the evidence that you've submitted the application and then submit your application, so that they know that you're waiting for the criminal record to come. If you wait too long, then you've just missed opportunities. So I think is really, really important. And one of the last ones I want to talk about is actually mailing your package to immigration instead of either uploading it or couriering it. Obviously, when you courier, you're going to have the ability to track it and know exactly where it is, when it was received, and you have evidence it was submitted accurately and properly. Do not mail your package. Always use a courier that is trackable, that requires signature. Okay, I think that's really important. And the very, very, very last common mistake is when people do not make a copy of their application. They submit it, but they do not keep a copy. How do you know if they receive it? What if there's a mistake and it doesn't get to them? You've spent all that time putting this together. You must ensure you have a copy so that if you need to, you can refer to it, and also so that you can deal with any mistakes that immigration sometimes makes, because you will know what you included in your application. So anyway, I hope that these common mistakes haven't scared you off. We want to be able to help you, and we want to make sure you don't have these mistakes, which is why people do hire professionals to help them with their immigration applications. At Ackah Law, we'd love to help you with your application. So please do contact us, and we can do a consultation and see if we have an ability to assist, so that you don't have to do it on your own and you don't have to make these common mistakes that could lose you valuable months and sometimes years of time. Take good care, everyone. Until next time. Bye-bye.